Hello everyone, welcome back. So far we have looked at the Perceptron algorithm for binary classification, and we have argued that the Perceptron algorithm will in fact find a linear classifier if the data that is given is linearly separable. We also argued that the Perceptron algorithm's number of mistakes, right? So Perceptron, the number of mistakes that Perceptron makes depends on is at most, right. So let me put this way: perceptron mistakes is less than or equal to r square by gamma squared, where r is the radius of the data points and gamma is what we were calling as margin. That is, when the data set is linearly separable with gamma margin, then what we are able to argue is that the perceptron's number of mistakes is a finite quantity. It is bounded by r square by gamma square. Now, this needs a very closer look. What does it mean to say the margin is gamma and so on? And that needs a longer discussion, and the algorithms that will come out of it will have will need a longer discussion. So what we are going to do is we are going to do this afresh in the coming week. But for now, we will park the idea of perceptron, that here is an algorithm and we know that that algorithm converges when the data is linearly separable, and we know the number of mistakes that it makes is bounded by the radius square divided by the margin square. This is the understanding that we have right now. We will come back and revisit this idea of margin a little later, perhaps in the next week, where we will have a longer discussion about this and then see what kind of algorithms that this discussion will inspire. But for today, what we wanted to do is, to see what is the assumption that perceptron makes, and can we, rethink this assumption in a slightly different way. So, if you remember, the assumption that perceptron makes is a linear separability assumption, right. So, but if you want to write that in a probabilistic way, then one way to say that is that probability of y equals 1 given x, this value is just 1, that is, with certainty you will predict 1 if w transpose x is greater than or equal to 0, and this probability is 0 otherwise, right. So, that is, there is a probability, but then it is not really, a non-trivial probability, right. So, which means that this is essentially, we have argued that this is essentially saying that the data set is linearly separable with the separator given by the plane perpendicular to w. Now, because of the strict assumption about these probabilities being just 1 or 0, perceptron is unable to model, data sets like this, right. So, if you have let us say plus 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 minus 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 minus, let me put this in the black color. Now, if you have a minus here and if you have a plus here, we know that this data set is not allowed under the perceptron model. Why? Because when I am trying to label this, when there is a labeler who is giving me labels for this data points, well, that is going to depend on some w, maybe the w is here, and that w says that, well, everybody on one side is plus and the other side is minus. But then if the labeler had used this w, then that labeler would have labeled this point as plus and this point as minus, but because we are seeing the other way in the data set, this data set could not have been generated according to the perceptron assumption, which is this. And if you look closely at this assumption, the main culprit is the fact that we are assuming that, the probabilities are exactly 1 and 0. So, can we somehow relax this assumption, right? So, that is the question we are going to ask now, and then we will see that what kind of algorithms that will lead us to. So, the question we are going to ask is, can we model the probabilities differently? What do I mean by differently? Well, let us see what does differently mean. There are several ways you can model it, and here is one natural way that you might want to do this, right. So, we can start with a simple model, right. So, start with a simple model. Well, what is a simple model? A simple linear model. Simple models are typically linear. What does that mean? That means that you have some z, so which is like a score for a data point with respect to some w, right. So, x is again your feature, right. So, this is your feature vector, x is in RD as usual, and then there is some w But now if I do W transpose X and if I am looking at that value, now that value is like a score that W gives for this data point X, right. So, in pictures it would mean something like this. You have this 2-dimensional plane. Let us say this is our usual W that we typically take as an example. Now, this line is just a set of all X such that W transpose X equals 0. That is, the score that W gives to all the X on this line is just 0. Now, one might ask, where are the set of points for which the score is 1, right. So, now if you think about that, so that is going to be somewhere here, right. So, that is just going to be a line which is parallel 1 unit with respect to W. So, this is just the set of all X such that W transpose X equals 1. Now, similarly, where are the set of points for which the score is -1? Remember, score is just a dot product the way we are thinking of it. So, the score could be -1 and that -1 could be somewhere here, right. So, this is set of all X such that W transpose X equal to -1. Well, if it is the score is negative, then we are somehow saying that the data point is highly probable to be labeled -1. If the score is positive, then the data point is probable to be labeled as positive. But now there is a difference that we want to incorporate in our model between data points that are here and perhaps a data point which is maybe somewhere here, right. So, maybe this is a line which also has a data point. Now, this data point is the set of all X such that let us say W transpose X is 100, right. So, if you move 100 units away in the parallel in the direction of the plane that separates, that is perpendicular to W. Now, if I am generating these two, if I am generating labels for these 2 points, let us say somebody gave me these labels and now I have to give you, let us say somebody gave me these points, right. So, let us call this x1 and let this point as x2, and now I have to give you labels for these points. Well, I want to somehow associate a probability with these labels, right. So, this label can be either 1 or -1. Earlier we were saying that this probability that the label is 1 if it falls on one side of W, which means that both these points will get labeled as 1 with probability 1 for this W, right. So, whereas there might be 2 other points on this side, maybe x3 and x4, maybe x3 is here and there is a corresponding, maybe there is some x4 on here, which I am going to put it here. So, this is the set of all X such that W transpose X equal to -150, let us say, right. So, this is parallel on this side 150 units. So, now I have to label x1, x2, x3 and x4, right. So, I have to give you labels. Earlier our assumption would say that I will just give you labels 1 for x1 and x2 and -1 for x3 and x4, and that allowed only linearly separable data sets. Now, what I am going to say now is that I am going to allow for labels to be both +1 and -1 for all points. But what will decide these labels? Well, there should be some probability for the label being +1 and there is some probability for the label being -1 for each of these points. Now, what will decide this probability? That probability will be decided by how high or low the score associated with this point is, which means that if I take a point like x1 which is here versus x2 which is here, now if you ask the question, well, which one should get a higher probability of being assigned to class 1? Well, for this W, this x2 is much far away from the separator, right. So, which means that you are somehow more confident that this point has to be labeled +1 as opposed to x1 which is close to the boundary, which means that the probability that it should be labeled +1 should be lesser than the probability that x2 is labeled +1, right. So, which means that as I move in this direction, my probability that the point is labeled 1 should increase, whereas as I move in this direction, the probability that a point labeled -1 should increase, right. So, still remember, every point gets a non-zero probability of being +1 or -1, but then the chance that it becomes -1 somewhere here on the end of if you move further away in this direction goes down, right. So, somehow we need to capture this intuition using the score, right. So, but remember, the score itself is not a probability, right. So, the score Z is in minus infinity to infinity, right. So, it is a real number. So, we have to convert this score somehow into a probability, and the question is how can we do that, right. So, what do we want here? We want the following: larger the value of z, larger the score which is z w transpose x, more the probability of being 1 plus 1, right. So, because a large positive number should get a large probability of being plus 1, a large negative number should get a large probability of being minus 1, which means a small probability of getting plus 1, right. So, we can just then decide the probability of being 1 using this score, but how to decide, right. So, how can we convert this score into a probability? Well, what do we want about this score, right? The first question is what happens if we find a point which lies on the separator, right. So, it's exactly lying on the separator, which means that we are not really sure if this is going to be plus 1 or minus 1. So, we can give equal probabilities for them, right. So, which means that we want some function g such that which takes the score as input and outputs as probability, but this g of z should be 0.5 if z equals 0. Right. So, whenever the score is 0, which means that the point lies exactly on the separator, we want the probability of that being labeled plus 1 as 0.5 and minus 1 also as 0.5, equal probability. Now, we want g of z, the probability of the point being labeled 1 to converge to 1 as z becomes larger and larger, which means that as z becomes infinity. Similarly, we want g of z to converge to 0 as z becomes minus infinity. The smaller and smaller the score is, the chance that it being labeled as plus 1 should go to closer and closer to 0. So, any g that satisfies these three properties is a reasonable g to use, right. So, this g is sometimes in literature is called as a link function, because it links scores to real numbers to probabilities. There are several link functions that you might encounter in practice, but one of the most popular link function is, one popular choice for link function is the following. So, g of z equals 1 divided by 1 plus e to the minus z, right. So, this function is called sometimes as the sigmoid function or logistic function, and I will plot this function and show you how this looks like, right. So, this function would look like the following. So, this is going to take a value of 0.5, maybe I will draw. So, this is just these are probabilities. So, it's never going to take a negative value, as you can see, right. So, it's e power something. So, it's always going to be positive, and it's 1 divided by 1 plus e power something will always be a positive quantity, right. So, it will take a value of 0.5 when z is 0. So, this is z, this is g of z equals 1 by 1 plus e power minus z, and here is 1, and let us put a virtual line here. Now, if you look at this, so if you plot this function, it's going to look like this, right. So, it will get, so this should not touch here, right. So, yeah. So, as z goes larger and larger, right. So, this is 0, this is infinity, this is minus infinity. As z grows larger and larger, the sigmoid function's probability that it gives, that z the point is labeled plus 1, goes closer and closer to 1, and as z becomes to closer and closer to minus infinity, the probability becomes closer and closer to 0. It is called the sigmoid because this looks like an S, and S stands for sum, and sigma is the the Greek symbol for sum, and so this is called a sigmoid function. Okay, so this is a reasonable choice, and we will see why this is a reasonable choice later on, because it makes certain math easier, as we will see in a minute. But now this is all we are saying right now is that we have a model as to how the data could have been labeled. Now, let us ask the question, well, can I, under this model, do I allow a data set like this, right? So, this is what we were not allowing earlier. This was okay, this data set is still okay even with Perceptron, but then this data set was not okay, right. So, the moment I put up minus and plus on the opposite side of the one fixed W, then it is not okay. Now, is this data set allowed according to this model, right? So, this model is sometimes called as the Sigmoid model or the Logistic model. Do we allow this data set? Yes, we allow this data set because now there might be some W, right. So, such that so these points so for every point in my data set, before deciding the label, this is what should have happened, right. So, for example, let us take this point. Why was this labeled +1? Why is this labeled positive? Because this point falls with respect to this W on this line, and this line is just the set of all x such that let us say W transpose x is 1, which means that I have actually tossed a coin whose probability of coming up heads is 1 by 1 plus e power minus 1, which is 1 by 1 plus 1 over e, which is e by e plus 1, right. So, this is the chance with which this point gets labeled as +1. So, which means that I have tossed a coin, and that coin whose probability, whose bias, right. So, probability of falling heads is e by e plus 1, and that coin actually fell heads, and so this point was labeled as +1. That is the assumption we are making. Now, why was this point labeled -1? Well, now again you do the same process, right. So, this point is in the set of all x such that W transpose x equal to maybe 10. Now, in this case, well, again there is a chance that this guy gets a positive label, and that chance is in fact greater than the chance that this guy gets a positive label. In fact, that will be 1 by 1 plus e power minus 10, right. So, which would be e power 10 by e power 10 plus 1, right. So, now I have tossed a coin with this probability and that coin fell tails, right. So, and so I have labeled this point as -1. It is not a 0 probability that it will show up as -1, right. So, though it is a minuscule probability, in that if you do an experiment where you are assuming that the labels were generated according to this coin tosses, where the coin's bias depends on how far away from the separator this point is in the sense of the score that we have defined earlier. So, then every point could get some chance of being +1 or -1, right. So, now we are assuming that these points have been labeled because they fell heads or tails according to their labels, right. Now, one might ask the question, well, the moment I say that where every point could have been +1 or -1 depending on how far away it is from the separator that defines W. Now, one can say that, well, why only this W, right. So, I could have had a completely different W, maybe I am looking at a different W here, right. So, now this is W dash, this W dash separates like this. Now, I can still say, right. So, even with this W dash, this data set is still possible. Why? Because this data set, now the same point here now would have a different line, right. So, a different score with respect to this new W that I have defined here, right. So, I mean, I should draw the W carefully so that it looks perpendicular, but yeah, right. So, this with respect to this W, again I get a probability that each point is +1 or -1. So, I would have tossed a coin and I have gotten this labels, right. So, basically then that means that you have seen a data set with certain labels. Now, every W has a probability of generating these labels, right. So, now every W could be is a contender for being the W that actually generated the labels, which means then now our problem becomes as to because there are every W is a possible W, I need to pick one W which I think would be the best W for this data set. So, now I can pose this as a problem where I am trying to find that W which has the highest chance of having generated this data, which is simply a maximum likelihood estimation problem, because for every W there is a probability that it generates the data that I see, the labels that I see. So, which W has the highest probability of generating this data? That is a typical estimation problem that we know how to solve, right. So, let us go ahead and do that.